It is day one of living without mom and dad, and I don't know, I think it's going pretty well. I mean, nothing weird has happened yet. But I decided to start trying something new. And as I said in my last video, I love Disney. But it's not just the Disney part of Disney. I mean, Disney's great, but I also love fairy tales, and I also really like the fairy tales that aren't always told, like Cinderella and Snow White and Pinocchio, and I like some of the weirder ones. So today I will be reading The White Snake. I won't actually be reading it word for word because it's a few pages and I don't want to put that much time into this. It comes from my textbook for World Lit, so my teacher should be very proud of me, even though I will never tell her that this video exists. So I have just a pile of stuffed animals by my feet right now, and they are going to represent different characters, and for any character I haven't thought of will just be represented by this teddy bear who I've forgotten his name, and it kind of makes me feel bad. So without further ado, The White Snake. A long time ago, there lived a king, King Snoopy, and he was famous throughout the entire country for his wisdom, and because Snoopy's great, you have to admit it. And this king had a strange secret. Every day he had his trusted servant, represented by this coconut, bring him a dish at noon. It was covered and no one knew what it was. So, one day, this trusted servant wasn't so trusting and took this dish to his chambers before giving it to the king. And when he opened up the platter, he realized that it was a white snake. And he thought, I want to eat this! So he took a little tiny bite of the white snake and then served it to the king. Now, a weird thing happened when our trusted servant, ate this little weird thing of a weird creature. He started to hear all of the animals. He heard what they were talking and speaking, and it's weird. I mean, it's magic. Magic is weird in the first place. So, let's see what happens next. Next day, the queen, I don't have a queen. The queen had lost her special ring. This is my special ring. And this trusted servant was suspected of stealing it, even though his name is literally Trusted Servant. I don't know how a trusted servant could steal something like that. So, the trusted servant was considered to be the thief, and he would be executed if he could not find the ring and show that he was innocent. So he was afraid and scared, and he was just kind of walking around, kind of looking for the ring in the courtyard. And he came across a duck. A duck. And he was, the duck was peacefully sitting by a brook. My hand is the brook. So they were preening themselves and chatting, and the servant stopped and listened. So the ducks were talking about what they had eaten, and one duck had a stomachache, a really, 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 really bad stomachache. And he said that he had eaten a ring, and then the servant was like, yay, I might not get executed. So he brought the ducks to the cook. The cook chopped off the duck's head and found the ring inside. He found the ring inside. This is amazing. And then the servant presented it to the queen, and the queen fell down because she couldn't stand up and was very delighted with this ring. I love this coconut. I don't know where that came from. Now, the queen said that the trusted servant would be given a prize, and the servant said that all he wanted was a horse. Yeah, a horse and some travel money so he could see the world. So he got a horse. Got a coconut riding on a horse, isn't it beautiful? And he started to travel. Now, he came across on his travels, on his horse, a whole lot of fish, just gasping for air. They, for some reason, were not in water. So, and the servant, because of the white snake that he had eaten, could understand these flopping fish. So he hopped off his horse and he tossed the fish back into water. I just realized I need that fish again, so they will now be represented by the bear. Okay, so the fish were in the water and they could breathe and they were happy and they were like, "Hey you, I'm happy. I'll return the favor eventually. I don't know when, but I'll do it. Yay!" The servant kept going on his merry little way, traveling on his beautiful steed. The coconut kept going. The coconut kept going, and he came across some ants. And the Ant King was yelling about all these beasts that are stomping on the ants. And then the guy was like, "Oh, horse, don't run over these ants." And so he went around, and the Ant King was like, "We'll repay something to you. We'll do it." So he kept going on his way until he came among some young ravens on the ground that could not be fed by Mom Raven and Dad Raven. They were yelping, "Please, Mom and Dad, give us some food. We are hungry. Really hungry." And so what the servant did is he killed his horse. The horse is dead now. And fed it to the baby ravens, which you asked for a horse and some money. Why did you just kill half of your present? And he fed it to the ravens, and the ravens were like, "Oh, we will repay you one day." Just keeping track, this guy has 3 favors now that he can cash in. So the servant was walking, seeing the world. Has hair. My friend has hair. So he was walking around until he noticed that there was a competition for the hand of the king's daughter. Not like the actual, I'm gonna chop off her hand and give it to you, but he wins this competition and he gets to marry the king's daughter. So the competition was, let me look at my nice big huge textbook. If you get a gold ring, maybe the queen's ring, I don't know, it will be thrown into the sea. I'm not throwing this. And if you can get it back, you can marry the king's daughter. The king's daughter. Don't ask me how a dog can have a horse for a daughter. I don't know how. But the penalty if you didn't do this was death. And for some reason, this coconut signed up for the job. So what the coconut did is he went and he was just looking. He didn't know what the job was before he signed up. He was just looking at the water where he saw the ring be thrown in and was like, "How do I do this?" Until the fish, who are now represented by the bear since I threw the fish over there and I don't want to go get up and get it, came and gave him the ring. And he was like, "Yes, I won't be executed again." So he was like, "See, I have this cool bling for you. Take this ring. And can I marry your daughter, please? But then, when the princess saw that this coconut was a coconut, was like, no, I'm not marrying you. No. And she was like, I have to put down my friend. She was like, Daddy, make him do something else to prove his worth. The princess, I guess king's daughters are like automatically princes. What she did was she took some millet and she scattered it in the garden. Just scattered it and scattered it and scattered it and scattered it and scattered it into the garden. And was like, you, coconut, take all the millet and put it into this sack. And he was like, oh no. Because I don't know what millet is, but I'm assuming it's some sort of grain. And I'm like, I don't want that job. I don't think this guy did either. Or does, since he's doing it. Now, the ants noticed that the coconut was in peril, and was like, hey, we'll get some millet for you. And the ants went through, and they put all the millet into a sack. He's also the sack. And gave it to the trusted servant. And no, I'm just putting him down. And the trusted servant, I have to put him down again. Gave it to the princess, and the princess was like, I guess I have to marry you now. But she said, one more time, Daddy! Make him do something else. And the king was like, okay. So she demanded a golden apple. And this coconut was like, oh my word, I don't know where this tree is. How can I go get it? Until he saw 3 baby ravens circling in the sky. And they dropped the golden apple in his hand. And he gave it to the princess. And the princess was like, oh, okay, I'll marry you. So they got married. Don't ask me how coconut can get married, since I don't know. And they got married and lived a very happy life because they divided the apple and ate it together. Let me just read the last sentence holding my coconut, because he's my friend. In time, they reached a ripe old age in peace and happiness. I've got like paint chips from my friend on me. He's becoming part of me. But I thought this was a very good story. You all will probably disagree with me because I love fairy tales and you guys don't as much. But hey, I'll see you all later.